Welcome to everybody. We are on a roll now with testing paints out again in the studio, and you've seen the thumbnail. I have managed to get hold of, thank you very much, big shout out to my local rep, which is Molly, the Benjamin Moore rep around the East Midlands stroke Nottingham area. I had a word with her at one of the trade days at Brewers recently, and I asked her, do you have any sample cans of paint that I can try on Doris the Door? And particularly I wanted to try what Benjamin Moore's water-based glosses were like, semi-gloss sort of glossy paints. So she goes, yes, Phil, I've seen your channel, I know what you're all about, seen that I've done some water-based gloss paints before, and she said, I will send you some sample cans to try out, which is great. They've arrived recently. One of the paints that was sent, can you see it? Benjamin Moore Aurora. Now, Aurora, you might not heard of Benjamin Moore Aurora, or you might have done. Right, this is an interior paint. Don't get this confused with the counterpart, which is the Aurora exterior. Just quickly, the difference between the exterior and the interior. The exterior is geared up for exterior painting. It's got the fungicidal mold inhibitors. Yeah, anything for making it worth using outside. We're not trying that. We're actually using the interior paint from Benjamin Moore, the Aurora. Just quickly reading the tin, it says it's got the colour lock technology, colour richness and longevity. You're going to say to me, Phil, what's the difference between using this and say SCUFX semi-gloss? And I have also got a tin of semi-gloss SCUFX to try. That'll be on another video. We're looking at this one today, but just briefly, and I'll say on both videos what the difference is between this and that. The differences between this and that SCUFX is what it says on the tin. It's resistant to more scuffed in high traffic areas where you could get prone marks. This isn't probably as resilient as what SCUFX is geared up for, but what this will give you is that that colour lock technology and the colour richness and longevity. So where you might find that your SCUFX isn't giving you that opacity, which SCUFX isn't bad, this might be a little bit better, but we will see, because we've got Doris the Door here to try. But the main thing today is I want to try what their water-based semi-gloss is like for the sheen level, i.e. the gloss comparison, 0 being flat as a pancake, and being 100% being a total what you'd expect from an oil-based gloss. Where do we pitch this at? We will see. Now, it is water-based, so you can wash out with water. Your drying time with Benjamin Moore products is pretty good. You're about an hour. So I'm going to say within 2 to 3 hours, I want to get 2 coats on this today. And another thing about this product, they class it as a self-priming. Well, I'm going to say self-priming stroke self-undercoating. If you have a sound surface like this, is Doris has been painted previously with a satin finish, water-based satin. If you've got a sound surface like this, you can go straight over with 2 coats of Aurora, i.e. self-priming stroke self-undercoating, 2 coats of this, job's a good one. If you have got previously painted gloss surfaces, if Doris was a previously painted gloss surface, don't do it like that. Get yourself some of the grip primer, which is the STiX, Benjamin Moore STiX. This is your grip primer for problem surfaces, going over surfaces that paints don't normally stick to. And I would say, and I think the reps would say to you, if you have got a glossy, particularly oil-based surface that you give a rub down, you need to give a grip coat primer to. I will test this out on another video as well. And you know what I'm like? I have my sample pieces of board that I've got on the go that I'm testing these paints out now to see what they like on things. That's 1 coat of the Aurora straight onto that laminate flooring. We'll come on to that in other videos. So yes, we've got a paint that is self-priming stroke self-undercoating. 2 coats over this, job's are good, and it's straightforward. But if you have got a surface that is questionable, that you think might just want a bit extra grip, always use a grip primer and STiX as the one that I would do hand in glove with your Benjamin Moore products. So that said, we're going to crack on. I've got my brush, I've got a kettle down here. I will get this painted. I will give you a conclusion at the very end, but you know what I'm like. I like to interject and intermingle as I do the separate coats to say what it actually applies like, and I will do that. Just looking on the back of the can, just making sure I'm not missing anything. You can brush it, you can roll it, you can spray it. It is water-based, so you will be washing out with water. I don't think there's anything else to report. Just making sure that your surface is in good condition. If you've got a dirty surface, just make sure you just wipe it down. Just a bit of degreaser and things like that. Yeah, just the usual, just the usual. Right, proper paint kettle. I'm going to tell you, if you've not seen the channel before, if you're new to my way of painting is always the right way. Don't listen to anybody else. If you're working from a paint kettle, please work out paint kettles, not paint tins. Work from one side of the kettle. You can see I am working from the left-hand side and not the right-hand side. The right-hand side I used on another video when it was black. Always work from one side of the kettle and wipe your brush down off that side as well. Just bed your brush in. You don't have to go too mad with bedding your brush in, because what I would always say is once your paint is starting to soak up into that bristle of the brush as you're doing your painting, it will get a nice amount in. I don't like to load my brush up like you see in some people and getting it all into the stock and the base near the ferrule. I find that it'll start oozing out on you, and particularly if you've been you know what it's like. If you've washed your brush out and come back to it, you might get a little bit of moisture dripping out the ferrule, you know what I mean. Right, so let's crack on. I'm going to just start, see what it's like. Again, I'm going to tell you how to paint a door, do your mouldings, do your panel, go mouldings and panels all the way around, and then come to your stiles are at the edges, your mullion rails and your cross rails and your latch rails. There's a video there if you want to watch how to paint a door correctly. There's many ways to skin a cat, but as I've said before, there is the right way of skinning a cat that makes it a lot easier. So let's go with this. Right. I'm going to just talk about this. The application of this is what I would expect from Benjamin Moore. It goes on so easy. I've never had an issue with applying Benjamin Moore Scuff-X, and I don't expect to have any problems applying this. I've done the moulding. I'm coming to the flat of the panel. Just lay it off with the tips of your bristles. Go round. Knock off any fatty edges. Job's a good one on that. I'm liking it. Let me get cracked on. I'll get this all coated up and I will come back in a little while when it's going off, and we'll just see what it's like what it's looking like after it's had that first coat. But this will have two. Right, first initial thoughts of actually applying that. Now, Benjamin Moore products, I've never had an issue with application. It always goes on nicely. It goes on easily. It's one of those paints that's really easy to apply. You're not fighting it. What I would say is if you were overloading your brush and you were putting too much paint onto the substrate, i.e. applying it with too much paint, you might get a creep of a run. I've not seen anything. I've been very careful. It's starting to dry off on me already. It's only been done 10 minutes. I'm not seeing any creeps of runs, which is good. We'll come back and check that later just in case. But so far, so good. Application, not a problem. Now, people are asking me, well, hopefully you are, different finishes. This is an interior paint that you can use on interior walls and woodwork. It's one of those all-round paints. You can get it in a matte finish. You can get it in a satin finish. You can get it in an eggshell finish. So let's do that the right way around. You can get it in a matte finish. You can get it in an eggshell finish. That's the starting to move up the chain of command for the gloss. So matte, eggshell, satin, semi-gloss. We're using semi-gloss, and we will see what that gloss is like. Is the semi-gloss going to be on a par with something like a Caprol PU gloss that's only a 65% gloss level? I'm not sure, quite possibly. Right, so let's just have a bit of a read of what it says on the Benjamin Moore website for when it comes to the bit of a spec for what this semi-gloss is. It's got extreme hiding and coverage. I noticed that when I'd got little marks on there that are scuff marks, it did seem to cover for that first coat. Sometimes I find that ScuffX might not have that opacity to cover stuff when you see, I don't know, rubs on skirting boards where your cleaning fairy's gone around with the vacuum cleaner and left some marks. So sometimes that is an issue with ScuffX. Couple of coats, it covers it, not all the time. But this is supposed to, well, stop that, because it says extreme hide and coverage. Colour lock technology for exceptional colour. We've got that. No colour rub off. That's quite good. Stains wash off easily. Paint and primer in one, we've discussed. Seamless touch-ups. Good if you need to do touching up. Excellent for high traffic areas. That's good as well. Mildew resistant. Long lasting fresh look. Minimal VOC, and your VOC levels, the lower the VOC level, the better it is for the environment. Smell also, you're not getting that smell. And I will do sniff the bristle. I'm not smelling anything of that paint. There's nothing pungent about that. You've got a proprietary 100% acrylic resin. That's good. Soap and water cleanup. Interior use we've mentioned. It's available in all the Benjamin Moore colours. Semi-gloss sheen is 50 to 60 at 60 degrees. So I'm taking a semi-gloss sheen level of 50 to 60%. To me, that's not really a semi-gloss. That's more of a decent satin finish. So let's just see what that's like when it dries. It's drying now. It don't look very glossy. I'll see in a few hours. Okay, it's been a while since I was speaking to you. Seconds fraction earlier. I'm back now to give another coat now. I think it's safe to say we know this isn't a gloss. It is a semi-gloss. And clearly, this to me is a decent satin finish. They ought to market it more of a decent satin finish. Not saying I don't like it. Looks quite good. But it is not what you'd call a replacement for a gloss. Now, I'm going to give it another coat. My first initial thoughts of that paint going on was really nice. Just checking now. Can't see any runs, but I'm going to go at it again. And I'm going to say to you, don't try and skimp when you're doing these sorts of two coating of finishers, because it's your two coating of finishers that gives you that finish that is the manufacturer's recommended system to get the finish that we're doing, i.e. the semi-gloss comes once you've got that second coat on, because it layers on itself. If you did just one coat of the semi-gloss over an undercoat that's quite flat, it takes in the glossy element or the finish element of that top coat that you're putting on, and it dulls off, particularly after a few days. Whereas if you do an undercoat, then one top coat, then the second top coat, you'll notice a considerable difference in finish between a one coat system and a two coat system. And this is definitely a two coat system. And as I said earlier, this is a self-priming stroke self-undercoating. It is good to go straight over a decent, clean, sound surface, which this Doris the door was. I have to say, that Nour Heritage brush is lovely. If you just want to bang paint on, like I'm doing, not having to worry too much about cutting into corners, angles, ceilings, this is a real nice brush for water-based paints. Now, let me get this door finished and I will see you later on this afternoon and I will give a conclusion of what I think about this paint. Guess who's back? Back again. Right, talk about an afternoon of waiting for paint drying. Now that's nicely dry now. We've had a bit of heat in this studio garage. Nicely dry. Clearly this is not what you would expect as a full gloss. This is a semi-gloss paint, and I'm going to bring you off the camera and get you in close. You can see the sheen level there. That to me is a decent satin finish. This is what I would call a satin finish that I'd expect when I see something advertising a satin finish. It's not quite, I'd say it's probably not quite the 60% that you'd get with a PU gloss. But let's have a look at that. Yeah, I actually think that's not bad at all. If I can just move the light about. I quite like that. I am very much liking that. There's not much brush marks. It actually applies really easily and well. It flows out nicely. The tipping off, let's call it the tipping off, when you blend in your mullion rails and your cross rails and your latch rails and your styles, that flows out nicely. I've not got much gathering up around the edges. I could probably see a better gathering up around the edges from previous lots of paint, but I am also not seeing any runs or creeps on the edges, clearly, because I know how to handle a brush. Now, don't forget, you can apply this by roller if you want, and if you so called, you can be spraying this as well. Now, don't forget, I'm coming all the way down. It's not bad at all. Quite like it. Let's get you back on the stand. Right, we're back on the stand. As I say, I'm liking this. This paint, American Gallon, which is a 3.79 litres, you would be looking at roughly around about the 80 to 90 pounds mark. You might be able to get it for that price. It might be a little bit more depending on where you buy it from. Now, what I've been using is, it's out there. Oh, what sort of size is that? Let's call it, I'd call that about a litre. So litres, what's probably paid 20, 25 quid, 30 quid for a litre, I'm not sure. Now, this is the interior paint. They do an exterior paint, so don't get confused. So their exterior paint is more geared up for exteriors where you could get cracking, flexibility, movement from wood that you need a little bit more resilience to that. This is geared up for inside. So doors, frames, and if you wanted to use it on walls, you can do. Don't get confused with using Scuff-X. Scuff-X are a different product altogether, because that is geared up more for actual scuffs and hardware and resistance. Not saying that this isn't suitable for that, because it is. But what your advantages of this paint is how that opacity was. And I know this is why, if you've got colours, you would be looking at that colour lock technology, colour richness and longevity. So, all in all, do I like this paint? Yes. Would I use it again? Yes. Would I say to you, give it a go if you get the opportunity to try this paint out? Of course, that's what I'm going to say to you. Give it a go. We're testing paints. I'm testing paints, so I can give you the feedback of what I think this paint is like, applying it to a panel door, clearly to save you trying it if you don't want to. But I'm using the Heritage brush from Nour. Really, really like that brush for applying paints and trying it out. This paint washed out really well. With it being that 100% acrylic base paint, washes out with water, no problem. Don't forget cold water, and then go to some lukewarm water with a bit of soap in it, and it washes out lovely. Making sure you put the paint down. Making sure you open all the bristles, make sure you get any of the paint out that's down in that stock towards the ferrule there. Make sure you've washed it out, and just scrub across the sides if you get any paint build up, and rinse it out again with some lukewarm water. But all in all, really impressed with that paint, really like it. There is no smell. I'm not noticing any smell whatsoever. The application, it was a dream to put on. So I'm going to say to you, please watch the videos at the end, and thanks for listening to me on this one. Give the Benjamin Moore products a go. It might be expensive, but quality remembered long after price is forgot. And on that note, cheerio.